Yosef has every right to be angry at his brothers, and as we soon see in this parsha, he forgives his brothers. Where does he muster up the courage to forgive them? After taking his brothers for a run for his money, Yosef finally reveals his true identity. He can't contain himself, and he says, "It's me, it's your brother, Yosef." And the Torah uses the expression, Geshu no Elai, come and approach me, come close. And the commentaries unpack exactly what the reason is for Yosef telling his brothers to approach him, to come close. The Or HaChaim says, just simply, I don't want everybody to know. They think my name is Tzafnas Paneach. They don't know the whole backstory. They don't know the beef that we had. I don't want to make that public. Come close. Or the way the Kli Yakar says, I've maintained my Yerushalayim. I'm still not going to speak Lashon Hara. Come closer. We're going to settle this quietly. We're going to settle this privately. Rashi quotes from the Midrash that the reason why he tells them to come close is because he wanted to show them that he's circumcised, that he has a bris. Now, why is that important? Why is it necessary to show them that he has a bris? So the way I always understood this, Rashi, growing up, is that it was just his way of proving that he's Jewish. I have a bris, I'm circumcised. Rashi doesn't say that though. That was more of an assumption. And that is the route that certain Mefarshim take. The Baal HaTurim rejects that. The Baal HaTurim says, first of all, you have a lot of Arabs in the area. And Arabs get brises, right? The Bnei Yishmael get brises. Because Yishmael had a bris at 13. Bnei Yishmael follow that tradition. In fact, the Rambam writes that Bnei Yishmael have an obligation to get a bris. So you could have other people who have a bris. Maybe he's just another Arab. How is showing them a bris proof of anything? That's number one. Number two, Yosef himself had commanded the entire region to get a bris in order to get food. Why he did that is a different discussion for another time. But the point is, he had commanded everybody to have a bris. Everybody in Egypt had a bris at this point. How is that proof? So some of Farshim say that, well, the brothers didn't know that. But in any case, the Baal HaTurim rejects the interpretation that Yosef telling his brothers, approach me, come close, is to show them the bris, because that wouldn't have been proof of anything. However, the Kli Yakar does like Rashi's interpretation that he was showing them the bris, and the reason why he's showing them the bris is because what he's actually showing them is that I've maintained my values. I've maintained my purity. Potiphar's wife tried seducing Yosef, and it was a very difficult test. And the Torah says, Vayema'ain, he had held back. And it uses the cantillation note, the trup of a shalshelis, which is a very drawn out cantillation mark, because it was very difficult. It was a very drawn out, long process for him to be able to muster up the courage and strength to refrain to say no. But he wanted to show them, I've maintained my values, I have a bris. If he were hanging around the wrong people in ways that were promiscuous, he may have been compelled to be what's called a moishach arlasai, to be the type of person who would to put himself in a situation where it doesn't look like he has a bris anymore. We call this moishach arlasai, somebody who extends their erla, somebody who essentially, effectively, at least on a visual level, undoes their bris by creating some sort of orla. Because they're ashamed of their bris. And Yosef says, no, I'm not ashamed of my bris. I have my values. And because he has his values straight, he has his Jewish values straight, he wants to share that with his brothers. Why does he want to share this with his brothers? Why is it important to share with his brothers, look, I have a bris, I've maintained my Jewish values? Perhaps showing the brothers that he has a bris is his way of saying, I'm going to be able to forgive you. I'm going to be able to let go of this grudge. You guys hurt me. You guys sold me. You guys tried to kill me. You stole me from my father. You've lied to my father. You put me into slavery and into prison, and I've gone through a lot. Yosef has every right to be angry at his brothers, and as we soon see in this parsha, he forgives his brothers. Where does he muster up the courage to forgive them? The answer, perhaps, is the fact that he has a bris, and the fact that he had internalized the message of what a bris truly is. The Tzemach Tzedek explains in Derech Mitzvah, the mitzvah of Mila. He explains the spiritual dynamic of what bris really means. He compares, or really contrasts, an idolater to a believer. What is the fundamental mistake that an idolater makes? He analyzes the history or evolution of idolatry based on the Rambam, where the Rambam says at some point everybody believed in God. God created Adam and Chava. Adam and Chava certainly believed in God. Adam and Chava's children believed in God because their parents believed in God. So where did idolatry start? It started with the next generation with Enosh. Because Enosh believed in God and appreciated God, but he appreciated more what he had received from God, the sustenance from God, whether it be the sun, whether it be the sunlight, whether it be rain, whether it be what the rain and sunlight had produced. So he started praying to those things. The next generation forgot about God altogether. And this is where idolatry started. Idolatry is essentially the sentiment that I'm going to believe and pray and appreciate what I get and neglect where it comes from, which is essentially saying I'm going to prioritize what I see and what I experience rather than the truth. I'm going to thank the axe rather than the wood chopper. I'm going to appreciate the body more than I am the soul. I'm going to appreciate what is readily and easily experiential and sensory rather than the truer depth, the truth that is hidden behind the body, which is the soul. I'm going to experience the what and worship it rather than the why. This is essentially what idolatry is. This is where idolatry comes from. But that wasn't Yosef. Yosef was able to maintain sensitivity. He was able to become sensitive to the soul. He was able to maintain his sensitivity toward the truth and not just believe what his eyes sees. What his eyes saw, brothers being mean, brothers that were acting in very evil ways, brothers that wanted to kill him and wanted to sell him. That's what his eyes saw on the outside. But Yosef believed there was a deeper truth on the inside. He believed that this happened for a purpose. There wasn't just a what he sees in front of him, but there was a why. There was a purpose. God sent me here so I could feed you, so I could feed the world, so I could save the world. There was a deep, meaningful purpose, and Yosef was able to appreciate that. He was able to not get seduced by the body, like in the case of Potiphar, and appreciate that there's meaning and purpose. Even in prison, he realized there was meaning and purpose. He was deeply connected to the soul. And this is the deep significance, the spiritual significance of a bris. A bris is the removal of the orla, the removal of the foreskin, realizing that even this organ, which could be used for promiscuous reasons, actually has deep meaning and deep significance. And if we remove the orla, the foreskin, we could remove that cover, we can experience the truth. It represents the removal of klipa, the removal of the wall over our eyes. And Yosef was able to maintain that sensitivity. He wanted to show his brothers, I'm still a Jew. I still have deep sensitivity and deep connection, soul connection. And because of that, I'm going to forgive you. Because of that, I'm going to appreciate who you are, not just what your intentions were. Because what you did in practice was good, and I'm going to see that. I'm going to choose to see that. That takes incredible soul sensitivity. What Yosef did was he was able to appreciate who his brothers really were and not get seduced by just their what seemed like their intentions, not get distracted by that. For us regular folks, that though, sometimes we have to work the other way around. Sometimes we have to intentionally try to appreciate who people are deep down inside and see the beauty within them so we can bring that out within ourselves. And this is how Yosef got the courage to forgive. This is how we can get the courage to forgive. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.